I think
Here,
so.
right, Jamie?
We do. We do have a quorum, and we can go ahead and get started.
So I'd like to call this meeting to order and first ask again, Jamie, to establish the quorum.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll go ahead and start. Commissioner Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Chan.
Here.
Commissioner Crane.
Here.
Commissioner G.
Here.
Commissioner Liu.
Yeah.
Here.
Vice Chair Wheeler.
Here.
And Chair Bedard.
Here.
That makes everyone.
Great. With that, are there any members of the public who would like to make comments for items not on the agenda? No. And then we'll move to the first items, which are the informational items. And start with county staff, which would be, who would that be?
And I'm sorry,
Have we
Chair.
replaced Brown yet? Oh, welcome,
Sorry,
Mayor.
Chair. I just asked Jamie to promote me, and I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to make a quick announcement only because I will be dropping off before 7. As you know, I appointed myself to be the council liaison for the Library Commission because I really wanted to support the Library Commission again this year. Unfortunately, a conflict has come up at this time. And so on Tuesday, I will be assigning Sally Meadows, Councilmember Meadows, to be your council liaison. And she should be joining if she's not already here as a member of the public. And so I will be here till around 6:55, but starting on Tuesday, your official council liaison will be Councilmember Meadows. So I just wanted to say that. So thank you. And Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everybody's well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And we're very happy to see Council Member Meadows join us, but to say, we're very sorry to see you go, but I think you'll be around.
Are you a betting man, Chair?
So I'll just say hello and thank you all. And actually, whoever promoted me can demote me again because I'm just going to listen. So I'm happy to be demoted and listen and let you guys carry on.
Well, thank you very much and welcome, Councilmember Meadows. So with that, Chris, an update from county staff.
Jamie, I'm able to share my screen, correct?
Yes, you are.
Okay, let me share our county librarian report from Jennifer. Okay, can all of you see her report?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, I think we have some very, very good news. We've been working on and planning this for quite a while, for a couple of years, and there's a number of libraries all throughout the country who have moved to go fine free. And so starting on January 1st, we joined in that, and so now there is no longer late fees for material. People still have to return their material. If they don't, there are still lost fees, so everyone still remains accountable, but it removes that barrier for a lot of folks who may have accounts blocked and may feel like they can't or don't use the library because of those late fees. So we're really pleased about this.
Chris, can I ask you a question? Is that going to be permanent?
Yes, yeah, that will be permanent.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so Freddie, we used to have our fine forgiveness program where people could bring in food, and once a year people could donate and get their fines waived. But now there will simply be no more late fees. And really, all we want to do is get the material back. We don't want to have people feel penalized. One other feature of that fine forgiveness is we've also added automatic renewals. So you no longer have to remember to renew your material. You can renew them up to 5 times, and they just simply automatically renew. And it's, I think, a nice convenience factor for our patrons. We have our Silicon Valley Reads theme announced, which is all about connections and the different comforts that people get from cooking or pets. And so we're excited to kick off that on January 28th with Sal Pizarro. We also have our Friends Foundation and Endowment Forum, which I know many of you have been to. This year, our speaker is going to be Carol Novello, and that's going to be on February 6th on Saturday. So we hope all of you can RSVP with Tracy Ellenberger, and hope to see all of you there.
So tell me when I can turn it on.
Someone needs to mute.
Sorry, that was me.
That's okay. And then the last one is some really good news. I think as many of you know, we are in the top budget category for libraries in the entire nation. And out of all of those libraries, we were ranked number 7 in the entire country. We've actually jumped a position. We are now 6th in the entire nation for the highest budget category. So it's a lot to take pride in. And you're, of course, a big part of that as our advisors in Los Altos and Los Altos Hills. So congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations to you. That's fantastic.
We're really pleased. And then we have our save the dates, our JPA board meeting, Silicon Valley Reads kickoff, and then our Friends Foundation and Endowment Forum. And that really concludes Jennifer's report. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions from any commissioners?
I sort of ask that question every meeting, and I'll ask again. Do you happen to have an update on the latest and greatest of the app development? Has there been any progress?
We don't have an update yet. I think right now we've been pretty just busy with in terms of our opening of our building and figuring out when that'll be. Because right now the county has us in the 20% category, right? So all retail can be open up to 20%. But just because of the rising rates and because they moved retail down to 10% briefly, and we're waiting to see if there's going to be another shift, we've really been focused on our planning for our buildings. But I'll double check on that. Bryant, because my last day is going to be the 15th, Bryant can check with our virtual team and he'll make sure to get you an update.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that would be helpful for people to place hold and check the status. Yeah. Even though the old one is still working, but looks like, was like probably 10 years ago.
And then
any other questions?
Pierre, one more thing. Again, this is my last commission with all of you, and I just want to, again, emphasize it's really been a privilege getting to know all of you. You taught me quite a bit, and I can't believe it's already been 6 years. And I'm so proud of what Los Altos Hills and Los Altos Commission have been able to do for the library while I've been working with you. So Steve Fitzgerald, our talented services manager, will be stepping in as the interim deputy, and I know he's going to do a fantastic job. Thank
you. I think you have been super supportive and helpful to our community, and you work hard and attended our meetings. Every time I saw you, I feel like, oh, it's very late for somebody who have worked probably from 8 a.m. or something. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Chris, and good luck to you.
Oh, thank you all.
Yeah, we'll come and visit you.
I'll give you the tour.
Cannot wait.
Thank you very much. And with that, we'll go to informational item number 2 and get info from the Friends of the Library. Catherine.
Oh, Peter, might want to have Bryant go next.
Yes.
Oh, I apologize.
Yep.
No worries. I can pass if you don't want to hear anything.
No, go for it, Brian.
Well, I just like to comment that it seems like all my bosses leave me. In the past 3-4 years, every single one of my bosses bounced on me. So it must be something for me. I scared Chris away. Sorry, guys. Let me share my screen with you guys. Make sure I have already. Let's see here. Okay, so just a quick report for January at Los Altos and Woodland Library. Take a quick look at numbers. In December, we actually saw a slight increase in our visits and checkouts, despite us pivoting back to curbside services. We did see an increase of 2.8% in visits. A typo there. I keep managing to screw everything up when I type. And a 4.5% increase in our checkouts, and a bit of a dip in check-ins, which makes sense since in November we saw a little less checkouts. We had 18 programs run by Los Altos and Woodland Library staff members in December, 459 live attendees. There were 3 book clubs, 4 virtual film clubs, 4 ESL conversation classes, and 5 story times run by our staff. 2 programs I want to pull and kind of call out a little bit. We had Holiday Crafts with Kids Art Club. You can see a shot there of the snowmen they were showing the kids how to make. And we also had Beating the Blues, where we invited Dr. Dolores Gallagher-Thompson to speak on the topic of how to beat the winter blues. She's a professor of research psychiatry and behavioral science who practices at Stanford hospitals and clinics. What's new? Chris already covered a lot of what I put up, so I don't think I need to repeat a lot of this. But again, an elimination of fines, that's definitely something we want to get the word out on the street to folks to let them know that that is going away. And of course, our existing late fines will also be forgiven. Virtual kickoff of events for Silicon Valley Reads, as again mentioned before, will be on January 28th. I've included the link in my slide for anybody who wanted to visit the website. I did a quick screenshot of the programs we had planned in the month of February and March. March 2nd's event, SVR author visit by Carol Novello, is sponsored by Lolly, and Los Altos Library staff will be helping run that program. Again, call out to the American Star Library Award and how we moved up in one place. Very excited about that. And I wanted to close out with sharing some positive comments I heard at the door while I was working during our open hours. Again, a lot of folks really seem to enjoy the book bundles we've been creating, and this is not the first time I've heard the comment that they hope we keep that going even after things go back to normal. So that might be a feature that might be sticking around longer than expected. And the last one there, I wanted to kind of highlight that we did bring back computer and printer access. And we've had some patrons come through our doors who really don't have access anywhere else. And we had one woman comment to us that it really was a lifesaver for her to have access to a printer. She really didn't know where else to go if we weren't open. So just wanted to call that out quickly. Did you guys have any questions about Los Altos? Stop sharing.
I don't have questions, but I do have a comment. Actually, today at 5 p.m., I stopped by at the Los Altos Library. I found that all the staff are working very diligently, and everything seems to be in great order. There was probably 5 people waiting, but I think it's pretty efficient. I think it only took me 3 or 4 minutes to get through the line because there are multiple staff are taking turns to help the patrons. So I was super happy. I just want to say thank you. I felt like, and the staff make me feel very warm. They actually told me, I think what to look for. And actually, I returned 2 books that have already been put as lost because past due. And then they said, don't worry about it. It will be fine in 5 days. You will see a clearance on my account. And so they make, they seem to be very friendly. So thank you.
I'll be sure to pass on those kind words to staff. They really do appreciate hearing that kind of feedback because we're here for the community, and when we hear that the community kind of really appreciates what they do, I think it really makes a difference for them.
And also, I think you guys did a good job. I saw their book bundles. I think there are things like people already get books sort of bundled together, and then I did see the lady in front of me ask her for recommendations for her probably middle schooler.
Yeah,
So I
we
think
spread. We kind of this second time around when we went back to curbside, we decided to expand our bundles beyond just the handful that we had, so it could be a little bit more directed to different age levels. So I think that may be partly why we haven't seen a massive decrease in our circulation, and that patrons are able to ask for a handful of items that they didn't have on hold that were still circulating at almost similar rates to when we had folks coming in through the door, kind of picking out their own stuff. So very happy about that.
Yep, good job.
Commissioners, any questions? I have one, and I'll probably talk about it more in our subcommittee, but I don't know if you see this, but Caroline went for Book Dash, and we experienced a service today. So hopefully, Bryant, you didn't mention that Caroline Bedard was there was no connection to me whatsoever.
I kept it secret.
He denied it.
It was actually very well done, I got to say. I listened in on the call. It was respectful. Book Dash underserves really what it is. It's like a concierge service from the library. I'm very impressed, and I'll write something up about it. But anyway, for everybody else on the call, it was fantastic. And she went through, the issue we talked about with the flyer and the age and stuff like that. Went through, qualified Caroline as to where she sat, and then carried through with it. Left books today at our doorstep. Fantastic. So very positive.
I've been fortunate enough to work with Amitha before in the past. I am absolutely not surprised that she runs a tight ship.
So Brian, is it still a pilot program only in Los Altos and Gilroy?
Chris, as far as I know, that is the case. That has not changed yet, has it?
Yeah, we're still trialing it. We're not sure how we're going to be affected by some of the county retirements that are going on. So we just want to make sure that we can sustain it. But I think they've doubled their patron base for the program in the last month. So I think they're really happy with how it's going. And Pierre, that's going to be really valuable feedback for us. It's a program that does require quite a bit of resource because we are driving to people's homes to drop off material. But I think for folks who can't get to the library to pick them up, it's a big impact.
We underestimate the social interaction that our community has with our library, and I felt like there was really a good interaction with her and my wife, and it was just good. That's all.
That's wonderful.
So,
anyway, thank you.
So should we, I just want to put out there again that we prepared an ad, the Lolly ad for Book Dash, but then we withdrew it because, Bryant, I think it was your marketing people who wanted to hold off because they didn't want too much of a demand for it, to make sure they could handle it. I just want to, make sure we keep touching base on when should we run that ad, because it's a new service. At some point you do want to advertise it and make sure it's known. But on the other hand, we don't want to run it obviously without the county being able to say, yes, we can support it and now's a good time to advertise that. So I'm just asking for updates because we do the ad once a month and, it's there ready to go whenever the library would like to have that service made aware, more people made aware of it.
Well, Chris doesn't
Okay.
have to care about that for much longer, so I will step up and say I will make sure to check in with Diane Roche and the bookmobile department to ensure that when the time that they feel is ready, that we have that ad ready to go to help them out. As I mentioned previously at our meetings, that they were doing a kind of targeted campaign ad at folks they think this service would benefit the most. And
Right.
that would be the increase in the number of folks who signed up that Chris Brown mentioned. That may have come from that kind of targeted campaign. And we want to make sure that we don't, just blanket paper bomb this and then suddenly they're completely flooded with requests. So, but I will make sure to keep in touch with Diane and Amitha so that we have that coordinated.
Okay, great. Okay.
Hi, any other questions for Bryant or Chris? Okay. So, I apologize, Brian. I didn't realize that they put you under the same header as Chris. I thought they'd given you your you had moved to page 2 on the agenda. But
I'm
now
always
we'll
happy to stay in the background if you don't want me talking.
Hi, Catherine.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. I didn't put together a PowerPoint today because I only have a couple things to report. One is that because of the stay-at-home order, we have discontinued, not discontinued, we put on hold our online services, our bookshelf, FOL bookshelf that I've been promoting to you guys, and our Amazon, because we just felt it was better for volunteers to stay at home and be safe rather than going into the library, which is where they do this work, because our computers, thank you to Bryant and the library staff, we do that work in the library space that we have. So those are down to be determined until things ease up again. But other than that, Friends of the Library are doing well. I mean, almost too well. We are unable, so far, unable to identify what we can do to give to the library this year. We have we haven't allocated our usual amount yet because we haven't heard from the library about what we could do. And so that's a concern. We want to do something. It may not be our typical funding of bestsellers or whatever because of the current stage that we're in. But Brian's already heard all this. But we want to be able to do something this year and before the end of our fiscal year. And that something that would benefit the Los Altos libraries. I don't know what it could be. Bryant mentioned something maybe about Woodland. Maybe it's more ebook licenses. Maybe it's who knows what. But we're in this situation where we have this very nice largesse and we want to carry out our mission. We've only given, pennies basically this fiscal year to the library so far. And we want to do something. So maybe, even the Library Commission can think of something and together with Bryant and Chris or, the staff, let us know.
And Catherine, I know Jennifer Weeks has been working on some trialing of online tutoring pods.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is some need that the district does have to expand that.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's okay, I'd like to pass that on to her and Brian to follow up with you on, because I do think there is some innovative services we're wanting to test and expand. And I think that would really help with that effort.
Okay, great. Happy to consider it.
Awesome.
Any questions? Ideas?
Commissioners, There's money there. You know, I mean, the friends do need to spend the money to fulfill their mission. So, I mean, it's got to be well spent, but I think it's a challenge to the subcommittees to come up with ideas and to work with Bryant.
Mhm.
Is my only comment. So thank you.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, then I will just insert a quick question then. Does it necessarily mean it has to be physical books or?
No. So in the past, we have given media and of course the bestsellers. We've also given furniture, shelving. So anything that supports the library and the programs or whatever, we are totally open to. So be creative.
Can I ask a question about the pods, Bryant? Are these the pods that you and I have discussed?
You talk about the homework help pods?
The pods for like 2 to 4 people for studying or tutoring?
So the tutoring pods that we're talking about specifically was, if you recall, we wanted to, I think you wanted to do an ad. You were curious about doing an ad. It was piloted at Milpitas. These tutoring pods are the online ones. And Chris, again, correct me if I'm wrong. That's my understanding of it. And they're trying to expand it beyond just Milpitas. I believe they got grant money to start at Milpitas. And the reason why we didn't want to kind of advertise in Los Altos was, given the limited nature, we didn't want to take away from Milpitas's resource. But now that that's proven successful, we're kind of looking to expand to the entire district. So soon we'll have our own Los Altos pods.
Got it.
Mhm.
So just to share some experience and observations when it comes to, funding or not being funded. So I'm a very heavy user of Libby, and I found some of the popular books could take 9 weeks to get a copy. So I'm not so sure if there's any possibility to use some of the funding to help maybe increase the number of some probably bestsellers or some popular books. That's just one idea. And the other one is I assume, I don't have the data, but I assume like there are probably more people using digital libraries now than in the past. But I also found that for whatever reason, Santa Clara County is no longer supporting Hoopla, Hoppla. I think that is another digital book app where other libraries, I saw San Jose, Palo Alto, some other libraries are supporting that. So I don't know if there was a reason why we discontinued the support or we never even started, but I did have that app. I don't remember if I had that from the San Jose or somewhere else.
Mhm. I can sympathize with the wait for bestsellers. I put a hold on a book back, right after Thanksgiving, and I was number 140. And I checked this last week and I'm up to 96.
Wow.
But my book club, meets in a week and a half. So so I can sympathize. But anyway, must be a popular book.
I'll actually pass that feedback on because we were supposed to have some automatic purchasing through our vendors so that for every 3 people waiting in line, there should be 1 copy. So if you're noticing that kind of wait, right? So if there's 1 person with a book and they get it for 3 weeks and they go through it, and then a second person goes through it, that's another 3 weeks. So the third person should get it, within like 6 to 7 weeks. So if you're noticing that long of a wait, Ying and Catherine, I'm going to pass that on because this purchasing should be automatic and based on a ratio. So I'll pass that on.
Well, I'll qualify that. I was 96 on 3 copies. So that's one, so I really, it's like 30, it's 1/3. So I think your formula works, you know, we haven't exceeded that formula yet, but
Got
still,
it.
it's a long time.
Yep.
So I do want to put in a pitch for the soundproofing for Woodland Library, and I don't know if, Chris, where does that stand with the county? If any?
Yeah, I think last time we talked, I was mentioning that we don't yet know how we're going to be impacted in regard to our state funding. We still don't have that information from them. It's supposed to have come at the start of the year, but we still don't have an update. That's going to really impact possibly our staffing levels. And so we really want to wait and understand what's going to happen to our some of that funding before we move into space enhancements.
But
But I think-
I'm not talking about county money. I'm talking about Friends money.
Yeah, I think if they did want to look at that, I think we'd need to bring in someone to help us with the design, and the purchasing for that facility equipment. A lot of that work can be fairly pricey. I've noticed, you know, design work can be around 15,000. And then, you know, it could, depending on what equipment we need to purchase, that could maybe be upwards of 25,000 or more. So, you know, if the Friends are interested in pursuing that, and that's the kind of budget we're looking at, you know, Brian could work with Steve Fitzgerald on exploring that.
Catherine, I have no idea if you are, but that's just one pitch for the Woodland Library.
So sure, we will consider anything. That's a pretty pricey item. If I'd like to see what the district can do first, and you know, maybe we can supplement or something like that. But you know,
Absolutely.
figure out what it is, and we'll consider it.
Okay.
So the other thing, this is Julie, that we had talked about in the services subcommittee was that, Brian, maybe you can help me explain it, the European model for Woodland Library, which was 24/7 access. And I don't know if there would be some sort of, you know, cost for some sort of physical access, but I think it's an interesting idea.
I believe that was the Futures Committee. Is that the one we were talking about that?
Sorry, maybe that was it. I'm on 2, I'm sorry.
Yes, you're asking me about crazy future ideas on how we could make, you know, Woodland more viable. And I brought up that we had at one point written for a grant to allow kind of a slide card access to the library. Chris, again, I think you were on board with this one, so you may be able to explain it a little bit better than I do. But I did a little looking into it, and that seems more popular in Europe than in the United States. And I brought that up as kind of a wild out there thing that we may consider in the future. But yes,
yeah, that one's like it's almost like if you think about going to the ATM after hours, it's a card swipe resource, and so essentially folks would register in advance if they wanted access to that, and then they could go in, and you don't have to make it 24 hours. You could do something more like maybe starting at 9 in the morning, people could come in and swipe in and pick up holds, and maybe it closes at like 10 o'clock at night, so that people could come by after work or on their way home if the library is closed. So that's something that we could look at. And I think, Brian, the cost for setup was something around, I want to say like $10,000 for the technology. You do have to have a very specific type of door, so that, I mean, it sounds crazy, but some of those doors can probably be another 10 grand, which sounds bizarre, but that's been my experience in terms of vendors and facility equipment. So I could imagine something around 20 grand to get that kind of program set up. And I'm sorry, these are just my back of napkin estimates. And then Catherine, based on what the friends are interested in, we could always get more hard data for you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
Julie, it was just a very interesting idea, and Freddie, and the idea was that it would actually provide access to woodland for people, and you could do it individually. So, from a COVID perspective, you're safer, and also, just varying hours for varying different populations of people. So I thought it was a very interesting idea in terms of the viability of woodland.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
I just have a quick question. Then, would you need to divide the library? Because, like an ATM, going to the bank, you need to close off part of the the bank, and you just access the ATM, right? So, in other words, would you close off part of the library and just let them access maybe book holds or other things?
Yeah, we'd probably need to do some work on our staff
Right.
area because that is pretty accessible at the moment. So there'd probably be like maybe some additional doors we need to add. Libraries that have done it in the past, they don't necessarily close off all of it. I think this is also a smaller location. So I think we would probably allow people to borrow if they want to. The reason I think libraries are okay with that is because installing this software and setting this up does add cameras. And so people when you register, people need to say, I'm comfortable with, being monitored as I'm in the library. And they swipe their card to get in. So I think the idea is that if there is property damage or if someone does something inappropriate, there's accountability there.
Mm-hmm.
I also think some people might prefer to be monitored just to make sure from a safety perspective, right?
Okay. Well, thank you, Catherine. That was great. And I think that overall, just my comment on as we come out of COVID, we really do need to look with a fresh eye as to what services and how the infrastructure is going to be used and how it needs to be used. Our mission is the same, but how we do it may change. So I hope we can help influence some of that and reflect some of the needs of the community through us if possible.
Yep.
So thank you.
Thank you. I think a lot of the ideas that everybody has been implementing over COVID, may carry over back into regular life. And so there's good opportunity there.
Someday we'll meet live. And you'll see that, well, anyway, never mind. I won't even go there. So with that, we'll go to Cindy Hill.
Okay. Hello, everyone. NCLA is going to meet January 24th at 6 p.m. The announcement hasn't gone out yet. We just confirmed that all of us can meet. And it's going to be a short meeting, just 1 hour scheduled. That's so that we can introduce our new members, which will be Sally Meadows, representing the LA Council. And then the Los Altos Hills person has not yet been assigned, but we expect to have that person assigned before this meeting. And then we will also be electing officers, the chair and the chair-elect, and also the secretary. So it's really a get-together type of meeting. There will be another meeting in February, which has not yet been scheduled, and that is to go over the finance review that we have been conducting with the Los Altos Financial Group, because we are very in arrears with information from them, and we have been asking for over a year. So we actually hired somebody who has worked with the city before to go in there and take a look at the records, pull out what we need in order to make sure that NCLA has the right accounting of the funds that we have plus what we have spent. So it's our fiduciary responsibility, just like the Friends and then also Lolly. So I will send you those announcements when they become available. And obviously there's nothing happening with the new library redevelopment task force because that has been put on hold until things change, the new normal, the next new, as some of my friends call it. And then I also use this opportunity to talk about Lolly. And we will be meeting next Tuesday morning, so I don't have anything really to update you on, other than I will be presenting to Lolly the website that the group had designed in anticipation of going to a bond initiative. And we are, as I mentioned last month, we're stripping out all of that information, but really talking about here's the library, here's how people use it. And as soon as we do have a working model, as soon as I have authorization to share that link with all of you, I will pass it forward to you. And what I'm going to be presenting to Lolly is, here's the website, here's how much it will cost to maintain it for a year, and our vendor will take care of all of that maintenance and make minor changes to it as we see need to be. And we're hoping that the Friends will want to post it and link it from their website, Lolly, and then hopefully, possibly even the Los Altos Library. And we also are in the same situation as the Friends, that we have a pile of money that we need to spend. And so we are looking for recommendations and suggestions from Bryant and from the county on where we can spend our money. We have allocated our usual amount for books, and then also for science and technology and the Whipple collection. So we know that will be spent, but I will acknowledge it is a drop in a very large pool of funds that we have and that we could be spending and that we should be spending. By law, we should be spending up to 4% of our endowment every year, and we are not anywhere close to that. So I've been taking down these ideas, and Bryant, I will be coming back to you. Yeah, Freddie, how many ads do you want to put together? But also it is, I was thinking about what you were saying about Woodland, both the redesign of it, but also the access outside of normal hours. I have seen that model in action, not only in Europe, but also in Asia. I've been fortunate to be able to travel and visit other libraries, and it's a very workable model. And it would be innovative here in the United States. So wouldn't that be cool? This could move Santa Clara County Library District up a notch. So instead of being number 7, we could be number 6 or 5. So let's go for it. So think about how we can use the funds that Lolly has. And that's my report.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
So there's a lot of money and there's a bunch of ideas, and I would like to suggest that maybe all these groups coordinate on what to spend the money on. So, I'm thinking that, maybe Lolly would be a better, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there.
Right.
A better group to fund capital improvements, whereas Friends would be better for or traditional books and media or programs or whatever. I'm just throwing out, doesn't have to be that way, but, and, we think as a group, what's the best way and how to divvy up the funds and responsibilities.
Yeah, Catherine, I think that's a really excellent idea. And that would fit in well with Lolly's model, whereas we funded the GoGo Biblio because that was a capital expense. And then the books that you all have been funding show up in the Biblio. So it's a good partnership.
I think what we're trying to do as, at least as a commission and subcommittees, is trying to come up with ideas that we can allocate funds to and present up to the council and to the different groups as to how to spend the money, or at least to germinate it.
Right.
I know, there's been several things done, as you know, on parking, noise abatement of all things. But these kinds of efforts, I think, now is the time to plan. And as we kick it off, this would be the time to do new stuff. This would be the time to innovate.
Mm-hmm.
What else are we going to do? I mean,
Well,
This is a great problem to have, right? Too much money. It's a great problem.
It is.
so we need to make sure that the money's spent, in a rational manner. But yeah, it's definitely a great problem to have. And we have a community that needs help.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely wanted to say the same thing. I think it's a great problem to have, but when it comes to spending money, the first thing that came to my mind is education. I think what I mean education is actually I felt that in the pandemic it becomes probably a breaking point for some of the families, that if they cannot send their kids to school in person, then they may not have all the resources as other families can find tutoring services or find software programs and giving them more practices at home. So I'm just thinking loud here that anything that we can help. For instance, there are a lot of online programs, like education-related programs. I know, even I subscribe for my kids, but I would imagine that not many people are aware of them or are willing to spend money on some of those or have access to the funding to some of this. I think probably will be helpful. Where other even hardware related things that can have the families to check out and use. So anyway, I think I'm just thinking that, personally, I definitely felt like the improvement amenities at a library that's very important, but I do not see how we can be able to get out of the pandemic situation anytime soon, even with the vaccine that has been available. I think it will be another year, if not 2 years, to be back to sort of normal. But I feel like a lot of kids, they're struggling with their learnings. You can see the highlights everywhere. I think there's a disparity in terms of what resources the family can support, in addition to just the remote learning. The library, anything library can provide, that would be very helpful.
Great. Any other questions for Cindy from any commissioners? I'll go around the room. No, thank you, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, Jamie, we'll get the staff report.
Good evening, everyone. I just have two on my agenda for updates tonight. The first is that we're getting ready for our winter season, at least for programs in regards to kind of outdoor, in-person, and obviously virtual offerings. Definitely smaller than what we usually do in the past, but trying to continue to provide those opportunities. So we're going to be launching at least information at the end of January, and then our season will be kind of mid-February through March. So that information, postcard mailing will be coming out to remind you to go online and take a look at what we have to offer. And then registration will start at the end of this month. So that'll be coming soon. And then obviously we do have lots of COVID updates just on the city's website. And that will continue at this point. Again, what we usually get a lot of questions is that parks are obviously still open. Restrooms and playgrounds are still open with all of the signage, but that continues. And then lots of opportunities for local testing sites as well, if that is needed. But we do try and put all of that, and the city manager's weekly just recently went out. So all of our updates are on the website and usually in that format as well. So those are the two things, updates that I have.
Any questions from commissioners? I'll ask a city staff related question, and it's mainly that I had heard that, well, two things. The issue that we brought up with Mayor Flagger on the lease of the library came up in the council meeting and was acknowledged, which was key. Catherine, I don't know if you're gone, Catherine, but I didn't mention it at the Friends meeting, but I don't know if you guys were aware of that. And also on the NCLA front, I tried to make sure, or at least I made comments that, nice cat, Nelvin. I made a comment about the fact that, we want to make sure we're not hampered if we do redevelop, and I think people looked out after that, so that worked out well. But the other thing that I just heard in the Friends of the Library meeting that other commissioners may or may not know is that Sharif has left, which I don't know is, I'm sure things will settle down at some point, but back to the NCLA issue on the financing, or at least, sorting through the finances, Cindy, I'm assuming that that'll be dealt with appropriately as soon as possible. So I don't know what my question was there to you, Jamie, I guess, but outside of the fact that Sharif is gone was the biggest.
And I understand the person right, I think her name is Twee, right underneath him also left.
No, absolutely. We do definitely have some transitions coming up for the city, and we will definitely be working towards working through that. But yep, absolutely.
Good. Well, thank you. And with that, let's go for our items for consideration and action. And first off, let's approve the minutes of last month's meeting, Thursday, December 3rd.
I move that we approve the minutes of Thursday, December 3rd.
I will second
that. Jamie, can we take a roll?
Absolutely. Commissioner Carter?
Yes.
Commissioner Chan?
Yes.
Commissioner Crane?
Yes.
Commissioner G?
Yes.
Commissioner Liu?
Yes.
Vice Chair Wheeler?
Yes.
And Chair Bedard?
Yes.
All right, passes unanimously.
Thank you. So with that, we go to item number 6, which is the work plan, which listed on here on the agenda is review and finalize the draft of the work plan. I know there's an update on when the work plan is going to be presented, and I think we should start there and proceed. Jamie, if you want to.
Yep, so I got confirmation from our city clerk that the Library Commission, in addition to the other 5 commissions, will be having their joint meeting with the Los Altos City Council. At this point, it is scheduled for February 2nd, which is the first Tuesday in February. They are still working out the schedule for that day, as there will be multiple commissions that will be meeting. So as soon as I get that schedule, I will definitely get that out to the commission. And I will send out kind of a save the date as well. But we should finalize our work plan today so that it will be prepared for your meeting on February 2nd.
Which,
Yep. And then one other piece I have, the infrastructure changes, those are highlighted here in red. Currently sharing my screen. Nelvin and the Futures Subcommittee did get that to me yesterday. I wasn't able, but I do have that. So once we get to that section, I will share that piece in the document that Nelvin has, and then we will go ahead and incorporate that once it's been finalized.
okay. So I'll start off the discussion. Let me go back and from my perspective, I hate to say this, but I don't know that, I think we're close, and it depends on what's, how deep we want the work plan to be. But I don't know that we can finalize tonight is my only thing I just want to say up front. I mean, if we can, great, but I don't think we can.
I don't think we can either. I mean, like the awareness subcommittee, we haven't updated our work plan yet.
And services,
Yeah,
I
so,
speak
yeah.
for us also.
Which means, because now we have this February 2nd meeting with council, we're going to have to get it done independently, submitted to Jamie. Jamie, hopefully you could collate it and get it in a presentable condition for council.
And we, in turn, I can take Jamie's, well, no, it's got to be what Jamie puts out.
Yeah. So
Which is okay.
Everybody's subcommittee has to get their work plan updated pretty quickly.
Yep, and date-wise, since information for the joint meeting is distributed ahead of time, the final piece that will be for the meeting will need to be submitted by the end of business Tuesday, January 26th.
Better write that down.
Yep. Okay. So, and so that means you need, I mean, to be fair to you, you will need maybe 2 days or so. Wouldn't it be nice if you had it like on the 24th maybe, right?
Absolutely. I can usually work through this pretty quickly and I can block off time. So as long as and especially too, I think it might be helpful for you guys to maybe have the weekend. So if you can at least get it to me by end of business on that Monday, I will turn it around so that it is submitted by that Tuesday.
Okay, perfect.
Is there anything special, Jamie, we need to do procedurally for approval, or is it enough that you collate and we respond back to you?
No, that'll be enough. And then even too, I think, because I know even after, and I'll use the example when the commission was kind of initially working on the redevelopment before the task force was created, the commission went in with their work plan to their joint meeting, and there ended up being a little bit of change even after the conversation. So I think it is good to where we come up with that draft, and then we can definitely have that conversation with council on February 2nd, and then there might be some adjustments that come out of that conversation that you have with council, and then we can actually probably finalize at the meeting directly after, because looking at the calendar, your joint meeting would be that Tuesday, and then your very first, your February commission meeting will actually be that Thursday. So you could actually theoretically make some adjustments and then approve, kind of finalize it on that Thursday, and that can be your kind of approved work plan going into this next term.
That's a great idea. So I apologize for starting the conversation off that way, but I figured we might as well figure out how we're going to do this first. And not struggle trying to edit in real time. I mean, the reason we're in subcommittees is to trust the work of the subcommittees, basically. And, no one's going to come in and try to change. I mean, why, right? It's a statement of intent, not a contract. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, let's talk about this around the room with the commissioners, because I'd like to get your, obviously your input on this matters big time. So I'll start off, Ying.
So sorry, what do you want me to comment on?
I guess what you're saying is that we're going to need to get the materials in by Tuesday, the 26th. Jamie does, which would mean Jamie will assign us a deadline of what day again to get our
end of business on Monday. So Monday, January 25th, 24th.
Okay, so we would be committing
the right date. 25th. Monday.
Okay, so each subcommittee would have to, do its part and get that into her for collation by then. Hopefully we should do it before then, actually. So that's what I'm asking. Does that sound like a plan? Is that something, I'm open.
Yeah, I'm just trying to clarify the process. I'm wondering, does it mean like each subcommittee need to submit their own slide? And then you and me are going to consolidate it, or
we're going to use we're going to use the current format for at least for the Los Altos City Council. Mm-hmm. The current format that Jamie's put together is what we'll be submitting.
And this one is a standard for all the commissions.
It's standard for all the commissions. And go up to the infrastructure. So infrastructure submitted their changes from what it was in the past. Nelvin put this together.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to talk about the level to which we need to have detail on assignments, but we thought it ought to be just topical in nature. So at least when you look at the assignments, you kind of have a sense in terms of what's going to come out of it, but not necessarily how we do it or anything like that.
That's good feedback.
And not too specific, because, once you get if you list your topics and get them all done, it doesn't allow for you to do more. So this way it's aspirational. These are the categories. We'll do as much as we can in those categories.
And not so detailed that it confines how we might want to consider. Like if you look at the very last item for Woodland Branch, it says identify and evaluate facility changes that may be cost effectively implemented to improve services, parking, and safety. It gives you a sense in terms of what we'll look at, but not exactly the details of the particular topics that we would consider.
Does that make sense, Ying?
Yeah, I think the future work plan makes sense. But I think probably the question I'm having is if we need to present any information about what we have already done or have already accomplished in 2020. in
I
the
think we
very
listed out. We put it in there, and the parking study and the woodland study would be attached. I mean, would be made available.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm fine. I was just wondering if it, what kind of, well, I think you partially answered the question that we're going to just use this 2020 to 2021 work plan as the format for the presentation to the city councils. And then when I say city councils, I mean, probably we'll use the same format for Los Altos Hills as well. And then for the accomplishment, we're just going to talk through them without.
I mean, this my input, right? They'd be in the status
So
box.
how much time do we get with the council in our meeting?
Absolutely. Historically, it's generally been, I would say 20 to 30 minutes. And so it's definitely a conversation, and I think it would be good to highlight some of those things. And right now they are currently listed in the status as far as what has been accomplished to date. We can always let me know how that can be updated. But it's generally about that time frame, probably 20 to 30 minutes.
So I think we can update that, but would a good idea be for each subcommittee to just talk about what they've done? I think that might be a nice way to interact with the council, and for each subcommittee to say, this is what we've accomplished. That makes sense? Okay.
Absolutely. I think
we just have to be careful to time ourselves so that somebody doesn't just run on and on and on. Okay. Like give ourselves 5 minutes each. There's 4 subcommittees.
Yeah.
5 minutes each. Okay.
And it's important that each one of us actually meets, and I mean, part of our serving on this commission is being part of our government and, meeting our council members and so they know who we are and vice versa is a big deal.
Right.
I mean, this is how it works.
Maybe everyone, maybe everyone talk about their project. I kind of like within the subcommittee, everybody's done something. Let them talk about it.
But we could. My intent though is that a PDF copy of your study should be attached somewhere. They should be very, very cognizant of the fact that there was good work put in by you, by Nelvin on the parking side. I think that's very important.
Okay.
My goal for this commission from the get-go has been really to get us more on the map and just more viable, which I didn't think we were when I joined as much. So that's it. I mean, we're really trying to help. And this is a piece of our showcase to the council along with 4 other committees. But it's like when we did it last year, it goes by very quickly. You get asked stuff that you'd never expected. And you just be yourself, and then it's over and you're fine.
Okay.
But thank you again. That's great. Carol.
I'm sorry, just one more clarification. I guess many of us kind of rotated out of our previous subcommittee. So in the city council meeting, does it necessarily mean that we are going to talk about our previous subcommittee for last year and then participate in the discussion for the new subcommittee, I guess?
I think we'd participate in the new discussion, but if you want to talk about what you did last year, that's okay too.
Okay.
but it's forward-looking.
I think we just have to remember to be really brief. Because there's and we have to allow time for whatever they want to ask of us. So if it's 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes per commission.
Well, like what's out?
Maybe each subcommittee could just kind of work on, having a script for, and we can try to time it and make sure we're not over talking.
No, that's a great suggestion. I will be there as well, so I can help streamline that process as well too.
Okay.
If you UPS my gavel back.
Where did your gavel go?
Katie has it. She can put it to good use. Carol, does this make sense? And do you have any, in terms of our work plan? I mean, are you okay with?
Well, the one that I've seen is the one that the infrastructure committee, which I sit on, and I thought it looked pretty good. I am new on the commission, and I have a lot to learn, but I thought that was quite comprehensive.
Thank you. Good. Virginia.
I just want to make sure, since we only have 20 minutes total, and there seems to be a lot of items to be covered. So I think we need to be very conscious about time. We need to stick to maybe, really strict to 5 minutes per subcommittee. And my concern too is, because I don't know some of the past work that has been done, and it would be difficult, like Ying mentioned before, how do we talk about, I mean, we wouldn't know as much, I'm new anyways, but I wouldn't know as much, what has been done before, and I might not be able to talk about details or answer questions regarding those things that were done before that is listed in here from the past year. And we only probably have 1 minute or something to talk about it, each person. So just from a practical standpoint.
I mean, I don't know that we'll go that deep.
So maybe we can just pick some items, each group, as highlights, because yeah, we won't go that deep, and maybe we can't pick all the items.
Well, we're talking tomorrow on the,
yeah.
Tomorrow we're talking, and on our subcommittee. So then we can make, we can go through and figure out amongst the three of us the best way to deal with it.
Right.
Which is, I mean, again, there's no right or wrong way to any of this. I wish, it's really tough sometimes because you want it right, but what's right? And what's right is what Nelvin always produces, especially his cat. So Nelvin, any comments or any feedback? You did the infrastructure one.
In terms of presenting or in terms of the work plan?
Just the work plan. I mean, is this a good approach to, that's?
Yeah, I mean, I figured the work plan should reflect the interests of the subcommittee, should provide for some guardrails on what we should be doing, and not constrain us too much, and that are of relevancy to the city, right, to the library itself. So, for example, on infrastructure, we actually talked about, the accommodations for Friends of the Library. It's always been a hot topic. We also talked about what are patrons of the library requesting, and how do we actually make use of precious resources today. And then finally, we talked about parking, because that was something that harkens back to last year. It's always been a topic of interest, but now we've narrowed it down to, can we actually do something in the near term while the library is not experiencing typical levels of traffic. So therefore, any changes we propose wouldn't really impact people near term, but should hopefully benefit in the longer term. And as far as presenting of this thing go, I was thinking we ought to do it on a vertical basis going from left to right. So therefore, you're kind of talking more broadly about, hey, we separate the projects into those that would focus on the main library versus Woodland. And then with any assignments, depending on how much time we have, either talk about them briefly or just say, hey, you can go ahead and read it, you know. And I would really, you know, if I had 5 minutes, let's say, and I'm representing my subcommittee, I would almost prefer to have them read it and pose any questions to us so we can make modifications instead, as opposed to trying to present.
But they won't read it in advance, I don't think. Because is that the same day? Is that the same Tuesday as a council meeting?
Got to be, isn't it? No.
I think this
No.
one is a special one because the normal council schedule is
second,
the 4th, and
Yeah.
this is the 1st. So I believe this is in addition to their regular schedule.
Okay. I just Melvin, I never ever take for granted that they read anything. I just don't. Okay. One or two do.
Do you think they'll read ahead while we're talking though? Because it doesn't take that long to read the
I
assignment.
hope not. I hope they're paying attention while they're talking.
But
I just think we need to have a short, sweet presentation. Very, you know, just something that's short, sweet, kind of here's aspirational and here's what we've done.
you sort of have that. I mean, the way it's laid out, it sort of is in a presentation format anyway.
Right.
Right. You've got like the big infrastructure, Los Altos, Woodland. There's like a logical breakdown, I think, through all the subcommittees.
I think we can just be very brief, highlight what I think we, you know, just highlight our goals, highlight what we've accomplished. That's it.
And what do they want?
If they have questions, they can ask questions. But
where do we fit in the city? I mean, not to, you know.
I don't think, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in this city. I just think, you know, all we can do is represent our commission, do the best we can for the library, and, you know, where we end up in the pecking order isn't under our control. We shouldn't worry about that. We should just do the best job we can. I think that's my opinion.
And the one piece that I'll throw in, at least the joint commission and council meetings that I've been a part of, it's been really good discussions as far as looking, the council members looking at the work plans that are usually submitted. The ones that I've been here in the last 4.5 years, it'll be 5 in May for me, but it's always been really positive and really good conversations. So I don't anticipate it being different this year.
Oh yeah.
And I think, Julie, did I not ask you your opinion? Because I'm asking now.
I was gonna say you didn't, but that's okay. I guess I'm new like Regina, and I think I liked her ideas. I liked Nelvin's ideas. I guess I don't know what to expect, so I'm going to kind of defer to the expertise of those who have been before me.
Cool. Freddie, is there anything more? Or?
No, I just think we should all get together with our subcommittees and, you know,
That's the key.
get our, you know, just, you know, organize ourselves and get our work plan updated, get our presentation agreed upon.
Oh, we need the latest version.
And,
Sorry, apologies. We do need the latest version, the latest Word version of the work plan. I just wanted to throw that in.
Absolutely. I will incorporate and make sure that all that's been sent to me to date is incorporated, and I will send that out Word document shortly, probably sometime later this evening or tomorrow. And then you'll have that as a starting working template so that you can start working your subcommittees.
So I did see Sally reached out and asked, said she'd be happy to comment. Since she's sitting on the council, she may have an opinion. I don't know if you can.
Yep.
And I only want to say anything if you want me to say anything. With the caveat that, of course, I've been on your side of the table in all the previous joint meetings I've attended. But I felt like I was eavesdropping there. So I did want to reach out and say, you know, I'm sitting here, and so if you want me to give you my perspectives for whatever they're worth, I could. But I also don't. It's kind of awkward. I feel like I'm lurking there, you know. But I agree, you know, those 20 minutes, or if it turns into 30, but it's usually, I think, closer to 20, they go really, really quickly. You've all made that comment. I think you should focus on conveying your priority, you know, the top. It's your chance to market yourself and to inform. And so pick the most important things, and you're not going to be able to cover everything. And I hope that most council members will read it, but that's still not the same as you providing some focus on your key priorities. So it could get derailed. You know, there could be a question and all of a sudden you're down into a topic that, you know, someone said you never thought you'd be there. But I'd really just focus on some priorities. I don't think everyone's going to have the chance to talk. So maybe, and each time you switch between speakers, it's going to take time away from you being able to get your message across. So maybe 3 or 4 people talk and decide, you know, what I guess you have 5 work plans, right? So maybe, but you know, it's really going to go quickly.
There's just one work plan, and but there's 4 subcommittees.
That's what, is it 4? Okay, 4, not 5. Okay.
Pierre, may I say something? So as a former library commissioner and having gone to many of these meetings with the council, I was very impressed with how many of them had read the plan, which became very evident because they asked specific questions that were in the plan. And also the other thing that was an aha moment was that we had prepared remarks and they got immediately derailed because the council members had specific things they wanted to talk to us about. So I would recommend being very flexible in what you want to present. And so you may have 10 minutes worth of information you want to present. It would not surprise me at all if all of a sudden they take you off into a new whole area, because there are people who are very passionate on the council about the library and about the city, and they have ideas and they want to convey them to you. So flexibility really makes a difference. And it's very friendly. Yeah, it's a wonderful 20 minutes with those council members.
So that reinforces Pierre's point that we should have everything in writing and have it as the report that goes to them. And then
have it as a conversation. And as Pierre and you all, several of you have mentioned, it is their opportunity to meet you and vice versa. So as Sally said, market the heck out of yourselves. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we got everybody's feedback, at least on this item. So with that, I think what we're going to do is move on to the commissioners' reports and comments. And we'll just really, Well, we'll open it up and start with the infrastructure subcommittee.
Nelvin?
Well, we talked about the fact that we submitted our revised work plan. There is one thing on my agenda to focus in on within the next month before our next commission meeting, and that is to write a memo that essentially takes from the library parking study and makes a proposal that we consider parking time limits for the areas near the library. And the reason for doing that is that through the study that we did last year, we've established that there are issues related to parking availability, especially with regards to events, that there are time limits in the commercial zones across from the library, and that therefore sets up a case where there's an incentive to park at the library if you're going to be in the commercial area for longer than the 3 hours at the commercial zone. So while we're in this COVID phase, if we were to do something to kind of equalize the amount of time allowed near the library, there wouldn't be an impact on patrons right now.
And Carol and I are working on exploring more about the Woodland Library additions. This is just a completely aspirational idea of seeing if it would be possible to expand the facility at Woodland to include a teen room and a meeting space that would be a flexible meeting room, that could be a large meeting room that could be divided by screens that you move into two smaller meeting rooms. Just looking at costs, feasibility, it's a very, very pie in the sky type of a project, but if there's a possibility to do it, it would certainly solve the facility problem at Woodland with respect to the kids and the noise for the adults, and it would give us much needed meeting rooms. The orchard room is the only room, and I know Rose and Brian have said in the past that they could schedule a lot more programs if they had the space to do it. That's it.
I'll unmute. Thank you. And I just want to highlight, Sally, there's two documents that were done with the last commission. One on parking. It was a different world, but one looking at the parking issue, and the other one looking at noise abatement at Woodland. Since Woodland was being used a lot by school-age kids, there was a lot of noise, and there was actually a whole proposal done by one of the subcommittees, by Freddie, to look at what are the different opportunities for doing noise abatement. But all these things, we've taken them on and tried to look at the COVID situation and adapt and really keep working with the library staff to see what we can do. But there was an awful lot of work that had been done, and if COVID never happened, we'd be ready with parking and a great noise abatement system at Woodland someday. So with that, the services subcommittee. Reports and updates. Services. Julie?
I am a part of that, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to report.
I mean, we met. We're going to meet. We've scheduled weekly meetings with Bryant tomorrow, right? We found a time we can all get together. We're trying to get data out of Bryant It's very tough. Chris is escaping at the right time because we were going to start asking embarrassing questions about service utilization. But we do want to do, but that's where we're at. And we're really looking at what services can we, really getting a handle on what services are offered and trying them out. Things like, I got to be honest, myself personally, I've looked at the Ancestry stuff available, which is amazing. I mean, it's free. Lynda, free. There's other learning processes, other services, but are they used? Are they publicized? Do people know about? I mean, there's all sorts of questions. So between Julie, Regina, and myself, we're looking at the problem.
I think Virginia created a list of everything that the library offers, and we're going and being guinea pigs, trying everything out.
And I mentioned earlier, my wife called and used BookDash as sort of like a secret buyer. So we're going to review that. But that's really where we stand on the services subcommittee. Hopefully we'll have something for you, Jamie, after our meeting tomorrow. Anything else, Julie, Virginia?
No, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Awareness.
Okay, awareness. Virginia had submitted a proposal. Virginia, you want to talk about it real quick?
Yeah, so we also had an awareness meeting before this, and we wanted to, we talked to Brian about the actual, how do we go ahead with implementing the signage that is in front of the library. Like I mentioned, I was at the library just about a week ago, and there's now a lot more people in the line because everybody is logged out, and there's always over 10 people, I think, in most of the time when I was there. So and Brian mentioned that the procedure for doing this is for Jamie. The next step is for Jamie to go ahead and process it. So we wanted just to clear up on that with Jamie in this meeting.
Now, there was a proposal, Jamie, that Virginia, that the awareness committee subcommittee submitted for signage while waiting in line at the library. So that needs to be formalized. I mean, we have proposed it to the commission. I thought the commission approved it last meeting.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now it goes to the county. And you do that, right, Jamie? Okay. So you'll be doing that. Okay. Okay. The other, there is another proposal that's in process that is Carol's. And she's looking, Carol, do you want to just briefly talk about what you're doing?
Yes, I thought it would be a good move to take advantage of whatever local media, meaning radio, television, or newsletters, do public service announcements. And they could be doing it for whatever the library wanted publicized at the moment. So I contacted Channel 15 and KFJC, the radio station at Foothill College, and the Kiwanis Club. And all of them were receptive to doing public service announcements, and will be happy to give guidance as to the kind of format that is acceptable to them. And Freddie said she was contacting, I think you said you were contacting the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, I have an email outstanding to Kim Mosley, who's president of the Chamber of Commerce, to see if they do anything. I contacted the Rotary. They do not do anything PSA-wise. So Carol is developing that, and we'll write it up and send it as a proposal to the commission shortly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the awareness committee, subcommittee continues to do the Lolly ad once a month. And we have an ancestry ad backlog. We have the Book Dash ad backlogged because we were going to do the ancestry ad for January, but Virginia let us know that right now is the time that kids are studying for the SAT, their college prep. And for example, she had one of the prep books and had to turn it back in because there's a lot of people have requested it or something. Anyway, the resources are much in demand. So we decided to do an ad on Learning Express that has all the college admission prep tests and practice exams. So we got that done, and that's been submitted to the newspaper today. And we were looking at that and decided that next month we thought doing the practical part of Learning Express, where they have all these preparations for like getting your license as a plumber, as an electrician, as a cosmetologist, person who does your hair, all these different exams and licenses that you have to be employed. That might actually be something that's really good, especially in this time when so many people have lost their jobs due to the loss of all these businesses, and might be looking to try to prepare themselves for something else to do for a living. And so we think we're going to do that one for February, and then we have Ancestry and we have Book Dash available. So it's been great collaborating on these ads. And so that's what we're doing in awareness.
Thank you. That's a lot. That's great. Thanks for the update. Futures.
Melvin, you want to, since you did most of the heavy lifting, you want to comment?
Well, you don't have in front of you what we wrote for the futures, but basically grouped our projects into the NCLA versus the futures roadmap. And the NCLA is basically a straight copy from what you had, Pierre. And it was basically around essentially not only having a rep to serve on NCLA, but also continue to monitor, participate, and assist as necessary. In terms of a futures roadmap, we thought it was important to kind of get a sense for what the paths might be for a redeveloped main branch with alternate paths and improvement strategies. So that's something that we still need to brainstorm. One of the things that was mentioned was around essentially, can we do more self-serve? Is there the potential to think about what services Woodland would provide that may be unique and distinct from the main branch? In other words, what's the best way for us to optimize services and location? We added a point regarding the need to coordinate with the Infrastructure and Services Subcommittee in refining this roadmap as needed, because clearly there would be overlap between what we're thinking of and what those two subcommittees may be thinking of as well. So we can have a one cohesive roadmap, so to speak. And then finally, this is probably from the first pass of the work plan, but essentially, what is the role of the Library Commission in achieving the overall roadmap, including our role in terms of the redevelopment effort? So those are the three key assignments that we have listed within the futures roadmap. Ying, do you want to add to what I talked about?
No, I think you covered it very well. So we did a meet, and I think three of us discussed, and I think Melvin summarized it in a very productive way. So I think that's what we're going to do for the next 9 months.
My only comment on it is that for the NCLA, I mean, I'll just give you guys my 2 cents. I mean, Cindy is our rep, which is fantastic. And but I attend anyway. Not that I don't trust Cindy, but it is actually a great way to learn. The NCLA, if you understand how the NCLA works, is funded, spends its money, does its thing, and it's important. It's really important to know, especially in terms of the futures and how to achieve it and what the processes are. So that's all, my 2 cents, but thank you. And then the work plan subcommittee was really Ying and myself, and I've been remiss on it, but we have a format. I think we'll go with the format. I don't know if the Hills will be any different or we stay with the same format. The idea at some point was to do a presentation with the same data. Maybe we can look at that, you know, Ying, maybe that's something to look at based on that shouldn't be too hard to do, but that's essentially what we've done with the work plan subcommittee. Ying, any?
No, I don't have anything to add. I'm thinking actually along the same line. Normally the Los Altos Hills council meeting will be in the second half of the month. So I think I can coordinate with the staff in Los Altos Hills and to see when we can put this on their agenda. Yeah, I would expect it would be the February meeting. That would be like the third Thursday or something.
And now I mean, that very interesting council race with 1 vote. Separate.
Tell me.
That's close. Okay, well, with that, in terms of future agenda items, I know that we had some on our last minutes. I don't know that all of them are relevant today. The work plan is always on the agenda. The project history, someone had asked for an agenda item about to talk about the redevelopment project history. Maybe that's something that once NCLA gets together and settles down, we can look at. By the way, if anyone has any, please interrupt me, somebody. I'm just going through the list that appeared on the minutes. Historical events, the library commission role we continually discussed, and the other thing had to do with the use of the library with the financing, and we talked about that. And I'm actually pretty happy that we were able to get action on it, or at least have it be mindful about what we were doing. So are there any future agenda items, comments, closing comments from the floor, from anyone?
Is Brian? Yeah, Brian's up there at the top. Brian, do you? So you were talking about you're at the 20% capacity limit. It's like retail as to what you can have inside the main library now.
Yes, that's what the county guidelines has us at, because we're listed as retail.
Yes. Okay. And so, do you have an idea of what is the milestone before you can open up? Are you under the same restriction that you can't do anything more until the number of ICU beds available is greater than 15%? Or do you have any kind of understanding about when you can open up more?
Chris, you might have to field this one. I do what I'm told.
Yeah, Freddie, that's a really good question. So the county has us in retail, and the state has us in retail. So right now we can, based on county and state guidelines, we can be open up to 20%. We haven't opened our buildings yet because essentially all the library systems around us have also not opened their buildings. So one of the concerns we have is, one, overwhelming our sites. And then the other element too is, you know, the reality that that's going to put pressure on those libraries as well. One of the reasons that we closed our lobbies is we were at 25%, and the county took us down to 10%. I'm not sure if you remember that in early December. Yep. So our lobbies operating at 10%, we literally could only have maybe like one person in the Morgan Hill lobby. And so that was one of the main issues was, yep, we could no longer do lobby service efficiently. So we moved to just curbside and walk up. And then I think a couple of days later, the county moved to the state guideline, which was 20%. And then with the rising rate, we didn't want to give our public whiplash and sort of get them used to so many different iterations of service. So we just said, okay, until there's a little bit of a stabilizing, leveling off, we're going to stay in curbside walk-up so that we're not confusing our public. So right now we're sort of waiting until there's a leveling off.
But that's kind of what I'm asking you is, what metric have you guys determined it's now leveled off? What's that metric? Is it 15% of ICUs are available, or I'm just looking for,
yeah.
Or do you not have a metric yet?
So rates per day in the middle of July through November, those were at about 200 to 300 per day in our county. Right now, we're seeing upwards of 1,200, 1,000 per day. So I think we're looking to see something a little bit closer to those numbers.
Okay.
But that is a dialogue that we're having within our staff right now. And it does help hearing from our community members that they're also wanting that clarification as well. So it's still being determined.
Okay, I just, was wondering if, just to have something, so you can see how close we are to you reopening or what's going on. And I guess too, are your people still being used as disaster services workers so that you don't have, people available? You're still short on staff also. So
we can reopen lobby service based on the staffing that we have. So lobby service is doable for us. It's simply, we're waiting to see where these numbers go kind of post-holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know. That's good to know. I just was looking for, what are you looking at?
Yeah, and Freddie, the state, of course, right, they're looking at 2-week periods. So we're kind of looking for data based on the last 2 weeks. We're just kind of 1 week out of the new year. So I think another week or two and we'll have a better picture of what these numbers look like.
Right. Okay, great. Well, thank you. That's helpful.
You bet.
Hi, good. Any other comments? All right. Well, look, I'll close it. And I got to thank every one of you on the call because this was very normal. And normal is good. Normal is great.
Being normal.
And welcome to Sally.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And I'm actually really impressed with how much work you do and you have going on. I didn't know there was that much going on, so I'm glad to be more in the loop. And Pierre, you'll have to tell me about the ancestry service because that's something I'm interested in. So, or maybe your wife is the expert. She can give
No, that's on Book Dash or the book concierge service that we're going to rename after Chris Brown leaves town.
Anyway, impressive work.
Well, thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Jamie.
Bye.
Bye.